battalion to its commander and determine the month and location of their next deployment. Clue number 1. The battalion led by Commander Bauer will deploy 1 month before the group deploying to Farreld. So Commander Bauer is not deploying to Farreld. And this will be 1 month before, so not the last month. And Farreld will not be the first month. Clue number 2. The group deploying to Neos will deploy 2 months before the battalion led by Commander Lee. So Lee is not deploying to Neos, and Lee is not the first 2 months, and Neos is not the last 2 months. Clue number 3. Delta Battalion will deploy sometime before the group deploying to Biagi. Okay. Delta is not going to Biagi. Delta is sometime before, so not the last one. That means Biagi is not the first. Clue number 4. The group deploying to Biagi is either the battalion deploying in January or the battalion deploying in March. Well, Biagi can't be January, so it will be March. Clue number 5. The 7 battalions are the battalion deploying in June, the battalion led by Commander Sanchez, Delta Battalion, the group deploying to Enosia, the battalion led by Commander York, the group deploying to Gator, and Mike Battalion. Okay, so the one deploying in June is not led by Commander Sanchez. It is not Delta Battalion. It is not traveling to Enosia. Not led by Commander York. Not deploying to Gator. And not Mike Battalion. Okay, now we'll look at the next one. The battalion led by Commander Sanchez is not Delta Battalion. Okay, it's not deploying to Enosia. It is obviously not led by Commander York. It's not deploying to Gator. And it is not Mike Battalion. Okay, now the third thing. Okay, Delta Battalion is not deploying to Enosia. It is not led by Commander York. Okay, so York. It is not deploying to Gator. And it's obviously not Mike Battalion. Okay, now we'll look at the group deploying to Enosia. It is not led by Commander York. It's obviously not going to Gator, and it is not Mike Battalion. Now, the one led by Commander York is not deploying to Gator, and it is not Mike Battalion. And the one going to Gator is not Mike Battalion. Okay. X-ray battalion. So Commander Ingram does not lead X-ray battalion. Okay, Commander Ingram will deploy 1 month before, so not the last month. And X-ray is not the first month. Clue number 7. Kilo Battalion will deploy 2 months after X-ray Battalion. So Kilo March. I think I can probably cross that off. Okay, the 7 battalions are the one deploying in June. The one led by Commander Sanchez. Delta Battalion, the group deploying to Enosia. The battalion led by Commander York. 6. The battalion led by Commander Ingram will deploy 1 month before X-Ray Battalion. Commander Ingram is February, so X-Ray Battalion is March. X-Ray Battalion goes to Biaggi and Sanchez. Okay. Clue number 7. Kilo Battalion will deploy 2 months after X-Ray Battalion. X-Ray is March, so Kilo will be May. Alright. So Kilo is not Biaggi or Furath or Verald. Kilo could be Bauer or Joyce. Joyce can't be Kilo. Wait, no, Joyce could be. Or Vincent. Okay. Clue number 8. The battalion led by Commander Vincent is either the group deploying to Neos or the group deploying to Enosia. Vincent is either Enosia or Neos. And Neos is April or May. Enosia, January, February, May or July. Okay, so clue number 9. Of Delta Battalion and the battalion led by Commander Sanchez. Okay, which is X-Ray Battalion. One will deploy to Furath and the other will deploy in March. Sanchez is March. Delta went to Furath. I think I can cross this one out. Clue number 10. The battalion led by Commander York will deploy 2 months after the battalion led by Commander Ingram. Okay, Commander York is in April. Commander Ingram is in February. Okay, I'll cross that out. Clue number 11. Battalion will deploy sometime before the group deploying to Biagi. Delta, January or February. Looking over here, so is Mike. Whiskey's the only one that could be April. That means Whiskey Battalion. Oh, and Whiskey Battalion is going to Neos. Okay. Whiskey Battalion to Neos. So Commander York is going to Neos with Whiskey Battalion. Okay, let's see. Clue number 5. The 7 battalions are the battalion deploying in June. The battalion led by Commander Sanchez, which is in March. The Delta Battalion, which will be January or February. The group deploying to Enosia, January, February, May, or July. The battalion led by Commander York, which is April. The group deploying to Gator, January, February, May, or July. And Mike Battalion, which is January or February. Okay, this mentions